What's going on, Flicks Talkers? Welcome back to another video. This time we're talking spoilers today for the Marvel Studios film Thunderbolts. Now, we have the official numbers. It came in at less than 80 million, so you can call that a financial flop, though. Was this movie a flop? I think if you guys have seen my review on this prior to what you're watching, you guys know I had a good time with it. So this movie had somewhere of a $180 million budget, so they definitely would have had to make something like 500 million to even be profitable, which I know in today's movie climate is damn near impossible. But just an update, I'm not here to talk numbers. Before we get into it, guys, please hit that big thumbs up. Consider subscribing today. I do plan to do more spoiler videos like this if you guys would like. So if you do, please let me know in the comments below. I am going back to the movie theaters this spring and summer, and I would like to do more videos like this for you guys. Now, just a heads up, this isn't any Easter egg type of video or predicting this or that or comparing it to the comics of this or that. Just basically things that I liked from the film in my viewing that I wanted to talk about that I couldn't talk about in a regular non-spoiler review. All right, so let's get into it, guys. Starting off with that killer jump from Yelena, which definitely kicks off the movie. If you guys weren't aware, that was a real jump. A lot of people probably thought it was green screen. I certainly would have thought so if I didn't see the behind the scenes, and watching that behind the scenes before I went into the movie, I appreciated that scene so much more. And I did mention in my spoiler-free review that Yelena was one of my favorite characters, but I just couldn't talk too much into depth of why I liked her so much. It was because of opening scenes like this, man. She is just kicking ass and taking names, completing missions for the evil Valentina, which I've only seen glimpses of in post-credit scenes in the past, but in this one, she's kind of a little more in the forefront, and she's definitely a mega bitch. Now let's get into another big talking point that I don't think a lot of people knew was coming. Well, maybe some people predicted it just because of some of the marketing, but Taskmaster is killed off immediately, and I actually feel very, very bad for this character. Yeah, she had her shine in Black Widow, but we got to see her in Thunderbolts for about less than 5 minutes in a action battle scene that was kind of like a Marvel Rivals type of scene. It seemed very video gamey as far as like a lot of people just dueling all at the same time, but we do get to see that Ghost takes her out with a single gunshot wound to the head, and I thought maybe was she gonna pop back up or come back later in the movie? No, she is sadly human, a disfigured human, and that's all we saw from her. If you guys are Taskmaster fans, please let me know in the comments. Rest her soul. All right, now going back to Valentina, I really like that they try to pitch this new Avengers type of angle using these anti-heroes. I mean, there's a lot of courtroom drama things that are going on, or people that are politicians that are involved with Valentina once again, and she's trying to use them as leverage and use them as the poster childs of pretty much saying, hey, yeah, I know the Avengers just wrecked the city and yada, 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 but these are the ones to clean it up. These are the guys that are going to be able to stop this mayhem. We obviously see that that's not possible. I mean, the Void really takes out everything. We'll talk about him in a minute, which leads to Bucky kind of stepping in and really wanting to change things on a political, official level. And I didn't really think I would see that from Bucky. By the way, I didn't talk about Bucky too much. He's kind of like a secondary character that gets introduced a little bit halfway through the movie as far as the action scenes go. His implementation into the group was kind of cool, though he definitely stood out like a sore thumb for me. But he's definitely dealing with these moral dilemmas. He's also dealing a lot with Valentina's assistant, Mel, which I thought they were going to have a little on-screen chemistry. I don't know. I saw a little bit kind of here and there, but it was all business. It was whatever. It was kosher. But you can tell that he is fed up and he knows that things are not going to change, at least with the administration. And they talk about laws being passed and it could be years. And man, that could really drive a superhero or an anti-hero over the edge, right? So I liked seeing him take things into his own hands and eventually joining up and teaming up, so to speak, with the Thunderbolts in Terminator 2 fashion, by the way. I know my guy Q Reviews also said he felt like he was more Arnold Schwarzenegger in one of these scenes where he came out on the motorcycle with the shotgun. And yes, I definitely recognized and saw that once I witnessed that on screen, and it was such an awesome homage and throwback. All right, now another thing I really enjoyed about this movie that differentiated it from a regular MCU studio type of film was all of the emotional depth, especially between the characters of the Red Guardian and Yelena. Now, they had a clash that was going on, and that's been going on since Black Widow. So once again, I definitely recommend you guys check that one out before watching this one if you haven't. There is a lot of emptiness, a lot of despair, loneliness inside of Yelena. She keeps bringing up the past, and she is struggling with her own demons, as we do get to see see that. She's constantly reminded of her first kill when she was a child that led to all of this murder, death, and destruction along the way. I thought it was great. I thought it was cool to grapple with something that's different from the norm, or at least the norm of these superhero movies. There's also that street scene with Yelena and the Red Guardian where they're talking face to face. I teared up because I felt his pain and I felt her pain. He comes to the realization that he wasn't there for her, and now he is there. Better late than ever, but he is there now. Now, I know it's only about a 2-hour movie, guys, but I really wish they would have focused a little more on Ghost's backstory, because I know Ghost's backstory from Ant-Man and the Wasp, but in case someone didn't catch that movie or they forgot or whatever, I would have liked a little highlight backstory on her arc, because I feel like it would have added a little more depth and kind of pumped up her character a little more for people to like her. Now, one character that definitely shined that I forgot to talk about in my review was Wyatt Russell's character playing U.S. Agent, the original, the OG Captain America, who is, as Bob puts it, an asshole, an American asshole. Now, this was a character I believe that was introduced in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I didn't watch that show at all. Please let me know if you guys did and if you guys enjoyed it. But based on his structure and backstory, I definitely felt for this character as far as someone that did murder someone. At least he claimed he accidentally murdered someone, which shifted the public perception on him to make him a bad guy, or to make him look and feel like a bad guy. And he talks about how afterwards he lost it all. So this is his redemption arc, and over the runtime, I really started to like his character a lot more. All right, now let's talk about our villain, Bob, or Sentry. The backstory, man, you want to talk about emotional depth. This guy was a druggie. He was searching for his own path. He had a very, very troubled upbringing. We talk about his dad and his domestic abuse situation that he was living in, protecting his mom. It went so many layers deep, and I didn't really think a Marvel movie would do this other than Black Widow, like I had mentioned before. So it's a great, great tie-in, because Black Widow also had those dark themed topics that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And I feel like they brought this to the table, put this in the forefront to build up this character once again, who is a villain, who does become a villain, I will say, thanks to Valentina, thanks to his own emotions, and thanks to the void that he is battling, because they are like two characters within himself. So we first initially see that power in Sentry once he's being shot. And at first, I really didn't know what was happening. I didn't know that Bob was Sentry, to be honest, even though it is shown to us in plans and different layouts and whatnot. I just knew that he was a failed experiment. But once we saw that he was all shot up and he started flying into the sky and then come crashing down like an asteroid, I knew this guy was something more. Now, I heard a lot of other reviewers talking about they were kind of underwhelmed once we got to the third act when they introduced the void. I think that's one of the best aspects of this movie. Like I had said, it kind of dives deeper into like if Darren Aronofsky directed a MCU film that was PG-13, it would come out looking something like this. Because if you can't get a grasp on your inner demons, how can you survive walking around in the real world? I also loved how all of the Thunderbolts kind of entered the void and entered his mind, his soul, his battles, his emotional journey, and they were able to save him. He was fighting himself, and with the power of love, because that's what it was ultimately, the power of the embrace of love, they all grab him and kind of fall back and let him know that it's going to be okay. That was another emotional tearjerker for me, because there are those underlying issues of relatability, which I had mentioned once again in my review, that we've all gone through. I feel like anyone with emotions inside can empathize with a character like this. And it's not going to be your Hulk beat 'em up type of movie. I didn't care. Maybe that's why I liked it so much more. And maybe that's why I gave it such a high score, which I did, which was a 4 out of 5. All right, now let's talk about these post-credit scenes, guys. Starting off with a comedy mid-credit scene. I mean, at first, I didn't even recognize this was Red Guardian with his beard shaved. He just had the big Burt Reynolds mustache. And I get it, man. He's been out of the spotlight for such a long time. He's like, hey, that's me on the Wheaties box. He's trying to use his newfound fame, and I totally get it. And I loved it because the Red Guardian was the comedic relief and the star of the show in that department. And the second post-credit scene, guys, is 14 months later, and we get to see the Thunderbolts, or the new Avengers with a Z. Such a funny outfit. They're established. They all look a little bit different with their haircuts. Bob still can't control his power, so he's kind of just sitting on the sidelines doing dishes. But they get an incoming alert. And who is it in the sky? It looks like a spacecraft with a big number 4 on the side of it. So enter Fantastic Four. But How is this possible? At least me not knowing a single thing about comic books and certain timelines. How is this possible? Because don't Fantastic Four, at least the new one that we're getting in summer, come from the late 60s? Was there an alternate time rift, or was this because of the last Spider-Man movie that somehow they got let in? I don't know. You guys let me know your theories, or let me know what that's all about, please, in the comments below. I just know that this is kind of leading up for Secret Wars, Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, and so much more in the MCU. So you guys let me know what was some of your favorite spoilers, please, in the comments below. And if you guys did appreciate this spoiler talk, please hit me with a big thumbs up to support the channel and consider subscribing today for more. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm gone. Peace.